All right, perfect. Let's go ahead and get started if we can here. And yes, Greg, for the moment, we are going to unmute everybody, but the microphones are muted for the moment. So I did appreciate that question. It's good to get the ground rules out of the way first. But let's get into it. So Stewardship has done webinars on a regular basis over the last year. Sometimes we do it via partners. Sometimes we do it for specific things like events or for support purposes. This is a new one that we're trying out this year called Stewardship on the Spot. And our goal of this particular webinar is to bring you some information that we're seeing in the industry to answer questions that you guys have. And some of you submitted those questions back to us when you got the invites from the emails or got the newsletter that we put out. And we just want to dialogue pretty closely with each of you guys. So what we've done is Kevin and I, and I'm sorry to introduce ourselves. Let's introduce ourselves real quick. I'm Trey Swallow. I'm the Vice President of Sales for the nonprofit organization wing of PIA, which is Stewardship's parent company. Kevin Kavinsky is on the call with me as well. He's a member of the Stewardship team. Before he came to Stewardship, a long history in the consulting business. So what we've tried to do is we've tried to put together a PowerPoint here that we're going to go through. And it's the top questions that we received as feedback to the announcement for the webinar. So we're going to go through those top 3 questions, pretty specific to some common things we see across the nonprofit industry. And once we're done with those kind of top 3 questions, we're going to open it up to everybody to ask any questions that you want for a true kind of stewardship on the spot mentality. So when we get to that open questions section, we'll go ahead and unmute everybody so everybody can ask any question that they want. In the meantime, if you have a question about any of the materials that we're going through, go ahead and put it in the chat or the question and answer section down there at the bottom of the Zoom webinar. And we'll get to those there at the end when we move into that question and answer section. So let's hop right into this Stewardship on the Spot. First question that we received, a majority of the responses to us. The first question that we got was, how can I get over my fear of asking money? So when you're starting to raise money, how do you effectively do that? And we're going to throw that question over to Kevin. He's going to kick us off today with an answer for that. Kevin?
Hey everyone, good morning or good afternoon or whatever it is in your neck of the woods. So I'm really excited. Go ahead and take notes while we're talking, but I'm going to drop a resource in the chat after we go through the top 3 questions. We kind of put together something for you specifically about what we're covering today. And so we'll drop a little ebook in there so that you don't have to take screenshots of this or anything. It's a really common thing. You started your nonprofit because you have, or you're working at your nonprofit because you have a passion for what you're doing. You didn't get into it to have awkward conversations about raising money. And so the answer to this is really to change your mindset about fundraising. You don't have to ask people for money. You have to ask people to get involved in some way. So I always say we invite involvement. We don't ask for money. So for example, when you're sitting down with a donor and or you're going to call a potential donor, don't jump into asking for money. Have a normal conversation with them. Ask them about their family. Ask them how they heard about you. If you want to tell them about you, just use that call to tell them about your organization and to see what the tie is between their life and your organization. If you're working with the homeless, what is it that motivates them to support the homeless? Once you know that, then you just say, would you like to get involved in our organization? Would you like to volunteer? Is there a way you could serve on the board? Would you like to donate? It's all about finding the way that they connect to you. And I'm an introvert, believe it or not. I spend a lot of my day on the phone and in front of other people, but it wears me out. Extroverted people find their energy by being with other people. So sometimes when I'm fundraising for my own organization, I really have to turn on my extroverted self and ask questions more than I tell them about my organization. That seems counterintuitive. You are meeting with this person to get them to donate or to give or to get involved in your organization. But once you know about them and once you know what motivates them, it will be a lot easier to find that natural connection where you can invite them to a banquet, where you can invite them to bring socks to the homeless, or where you can invite them to give. Is there another slide, Trey? Okay. I want to give you an example of something that happened to me from another organization. This is an organization approaching me. I had a friend who started a nonprofit for substance abuse, and he had a history of substance abuse, overcame it, and wanted to help some other people. And he called me and said, Kevin, would it be completely ridiculous if I asked you to help me think through some things for my nonprofit? I was like, of course not. And he asked me all kinds of questions. And then at the end, he said, when you choose to donate, how do you go through that process? Like, what do you think about? And that was amazing. He really did this to me. I'm telling you how to do it, but he really did it to me, because I said, it needs to be something that's important to me. It needs to fit with my values. It needs to this and that. And he said, does this do that or not? And it was an amazing, I ended up donating. But something like that is a great conversation that you can have. Ask for advice, ask them what it is that motivates them to give. And here's the other key: walk away if it's not a good fit. Not every single person that you talk to is going to be a good fit for donating. I hope that was a decent answer. Trey, you want to add anything? You're muted.
Thank you. No, I think it's important that it is the involved mentality that you talked about. Right? There are many ways to get involved in whether it's donation, of course, but volunteering as well, for asking for consulting help, for building advocates in different ways besides the ask. I think when you're in a position to tell your story over and again and connect your story with someone else, then I think when you involve somebody in that connection, it can speed up the donation process and create advocates for life. So I totally agree with that mentality, Kevin. So thank you. Second question we received after the ask appeal question is, how do I get in front of more people as a nonprofit? How do I connect with more? How do I grow my donor database? And what we like to do is kind of give a simple exercise. And when we do this, I'll be honest, it takes me back to biology or science in high school, because what we're looking at here, if anybody knows what we're looking at, does anybody know what they call this? The Venn diagram. Does anybody remember that from high school? I don't think I've used it since then, except when I do this for the nonprofits that I'm involved in. So we like to, when we get that particular question and we get to consult with different nonprofits to grow their network, we say, listen, think of the various places where you have different connections. And a great example is kind of LinkedIn. If you guys have ever used LinkedIn or have your organization out on LinkedIn, if you don't, we definitely recommend it, but you have first, second, and third kind of connections as you make connections on LinkedIn. It's very similar to this too, as you start with yourself and whatever your role is at the foundation, and begin to branch out from that and list the people that you know, individual family members, then your friends, where you work at, who you went to school with in undergrad or grad or high school, if there's a church that you go to, or any other clubs that you're involved in, or if you've worked with people in the past at a different nonprofit. All of these, what we call social radiuses, where you interact with people, and start building that out. We recommend you take about an hour and just start jotting down names of people that fall into these radiuses. And the second thing that we ask you to do is not just you, have all of your board members do this, or your biggest advocates do this. And what you're going to see is you're going to come back together with everybody, and you're going to have way more people that you can contact and reach out to about your organization than you ever dreamed of. So that's kind of the first step. Do it yourself, have your board do it. The second step is get contact information. And that contact information can come in a variety of ways. It can be email numbers, email addresses, phone numbers, Facebook profiles, LinkedIn profiles, and start to throw them in a spreadsheet. So that's the second thing. Build your radiuses, get your contact information together. And then the third thing is slowly reach out. And the reason that we suggest slowly reaching out is because if any of you have ever done any marketing before, you know some stuff resonates with some people and some stuff doesn't. So it's kind of an A/B testing model, is reach out slowly and start to explain your why. Why are you doing this as an organization? What is your mission? And start to reach out to those people in your social radiuses and start telling your why story and making connections. Do it slowly so you can refine your messaging. Take about a month, work through it, a couple a day from you, a couple a day from your board members, however long it takes, and refine that messaging. Come back after a week or so, refine that messaging again with other people that are doing this, so you can all come together around what is resonating with the people that you're reaching out to. Fourth step here. So we got social radiuses, contact information, slowly reach out and refine that messaging. And the fourth thing is ask for referrals. It's one thing to say, you know, I'm not interested, or that doesn't resonate with me, but people know people, right? Your story may not resonate with the person that you're talking to, but they know somebody that story will resonate with. So if you get on to a particular conversation and you're talking about your why, and you get to Kevin's piece of the ask, the appeal, the involvement side of it, they may say that they're not interested. But I would encourage you to take a step further and ask them if they think that they know of anybody that can resonate with this particular cause. And that's a great way to further grow that social radius. So I would encourage all of you guys, if you've never done this, or if you've only done this for yourself and not for your board or any of the other members of the nonprofit, I would suggest you guys take some time and work through what we would call a social radius option as a group to begin expanding your donor base and the amount of people that you can reach out to. Third question, and we'll go back to Kevin on this one. Oh, expanding the donor base again and get more donations, right? So Kevin, why don't you take us through this? If we've done the social radius, we've identified additional people to contact, where do we go from there?
Okay, we work in the donation acceptance space. And so we see every day people's giving activity, and we're really privileged to be able to have data from thousands, tens of thousands of organizations. And there's something that needs to be said that's somewhat controversial, but people give for very personal reasons, and people give I don't want to say it's selfish, but people want to be the heroes. People are giving because they want to feel the impact. What we have to do is make the donors the superheroes of our organization. This accomplishes two major things. First of all, if a donor gives and they have a really great experience, they're going to give again. And that helps us from lapsing donors, from losing donors after the first gift. Something like 85% of donors who give the first time will not give again. And a lot of that has to do with they gave for an emotional reason, something really impacted them and they thought they could make a difference, and then they didn't feel that. So if we can help them feel the difference they've made, feel the impact they've made, and make them feel like a superhero, they're going to come back. Second thing that it does is then they bring their friends. So when you have a really good experience anywhere, we're social people. We love to include other people. And so we hear negative, don't give this organization, they don't do anything. We hear positive. I know of one donor who gave $500,000 to a small school and didn't get a phone call, an email, a thank you, anything. And $500,000 gift for a school is huge. So it's unfortunately more common than we think. The second thing is to approach your donors from the perspective of the why. Donors do care about how you're doing it, but what they care about more is why you're doing it. And what you have in common with your donors is that why. So let me give you an example. Let's say you are a pregnancy resource center. Your why could be something related to babies. It could be something related to mothers or women. Whatever your why is for doing it is a deeper connection than the one campaign that they're giving to. So if you're raising money for improving your infrastructure or technology, that's not as appealing to somebody as the mother story. So what we encourage people to do is at least once a quarter to send out an impact story. So you take your why and you maybe highlight a client, maybe you highlight a donor, maybe you highlight a staff member who's really living out that why. In addition, some other ideas that people do are virtual donor thank you events. So Laura, a member of our team, has been encouraging people to just do a quarterly Zoom call with all the new donors from that quarter. It's been an amazing results. People are so grateful to be included. And also you're introducing them to other members of your community. And so even if that's 5 people, but they feel connected and they feel appreciated, they're going to share it. And that grows your giving. We've seen some people do cell phone video tours of their facility. You can invite people to come, and if they can't make it, walk through with your cell phone. You can do one video and put it on YouTube and send it to people, or it doesn't take long to record a video and say something personal with the donor's name in it. If you spend 5 minutes a day doing 3 video tours or personal outreaches, it's going to be an amazing result. There's something called, I think it's called Buongiorno. And that's a resource where you can send these types of cell phone videos directly to the donors, and you can even see if they've read it and if they've interacted with it. Does that answer?
Yeah.
Oh, this is a cool, yeah. We have a really cool resource. Again, Laura, one of our team members, came up with this idea, which is more PR related. On February 17th, in a couple days, it's National Random Act of Kindness Day. And so one idea that we've seen other organizations do is they have some sort of PR campaign that's not related to giving, it's just related to getting involved. So in this example, you print some business cards and you encourage everyone in your network to just do a random act of kindness and encourage people to pass it on. So you would have your logo on the front of the card and your website on the back of the card. Tell us your story or sponsored by your organization. And then you just encourage people to pass on kindness. So pay for the person behind you at Starbucks, that you ask the Starbucks worker to give them the card instead of taking payment. And then the name of your organization just got passed on to another person. If you look at the web traffic after a campaign like this, it's incredible. And you can run this for a long period of time. You can include these in thank you letters. You could do a mailing specifically on this. I think we can also pass this resource off to everyone on the webinar.
We'll actually be sending out, as Kevin mentioned, there's a national Random Act of Kindness Days on the 17th. So we'll be sending out an email specifically on this as a campaign idea for your local nonprofit. So we'll be sending out additional material on this as well. So thank you guys. We're going to move into, give me a second here. I'm going to stop share and then I'm going to activate. Everybody's going to get allowed to talk. Please note that you're going to get a chance to talk. If you don't want to talk, you don't have to. But I'm activating everybody, and then we're going to go hop into the questions here. And these we could take one-on-one. This is the on the spot section. For those that did not submit those questions, kind of that we already just went through, this will give you guys the opportunity to ask us some individual questions. And let me go ahead and pull up some of the chat here and see. And Kevin, you keep me honest as I'm trying to monitor this as we go down. And I will say that I've got a couple of events questions on here. And let me just say we've got some of our support team on the call today as well, but our wonderful support team. And if you don't know our support address, support@stewardshiptechnology.com, or the absolutely wonderful, fabulous ladies, Julianne and Jesse, that run our support channel. They're amazing, and they can help you with pretty much anything that you can even think of to use our system on, or even some of the ideas that we talked about today. They can help flesh those out for you guys. So if you have any additional questions, make sure you throw them in the chat right now, and then let's go ahead and start to answer some of them. So I've got a question here from Melody. I want to make sure I got that right. Melody Evans. Thank you, Melody. Is there a way to change the template arrangement of the registration page for an event? There's not. Currently at the moment to change the configuration of the registration page. It does change as you add custom questions. It can get longer or shorter, and depending on the additional options that you offer. The tabs on the landing page, you'll see more tabs or less tabs. You can, of course, customize the landing page with the headers and the images, but ultimately they go in the same sections. So there's customization that is available, but you can't drag and drop elements around the screen at the moment. So hopefully, Melody, that answers your question. And Melody, if you want to ask a question, you're on mute right now, but if you want to follow up with that in any way, I'm happy to take additional questions there. All right. Kevin, am I missing? Yes, Greg, thank you for coming on, Julianne. It's totally true. Candy, when somebody registers for an event, does it automatically create an account for them within Stewardship? When there's a payment and a transaction that occurs for an event, it does automatically create an account for them in the Stewardship database. You'll also be able to pull direct reports for anybody that registers for any events from the events tab. And you can have a whole list of contact information, all of the jazz that you labeled as required information when you set up the event. For those that don't know, when you do go ahead and set up an event, there are a number of information fields that you can require or list as optional. So you can take in as much contact information as you want, not to mention any of the custom questions that you want to ask. There's reporting that will show you everybody that registered and what their answers are to all of the custom questions that are there in that event's registration. I think those, let me know if I'm missing. I'm not sure that I'm missing anyone. Yes, Candy, when they register, they still get listed to my knowledge. And I'll run that by with Julianne when we're done and make sure I've got you the right answer there and connect you personally with Julianne so we can make sure we get some of these questions answered from you. It sounds like you got a good event that's going on. And if I remember, Candy, there we go. And if I remember, Candy, I think you had the plaid event, which was awesome in the fall. I think that was you guys. That was great. Kevin, did you have something here?
I wanted to show you also, you can manually add people. So if you go to tools, first of all, you can add it from the donor widget.
Right here, there's
you
the
just click add. You can go there, but you also have under tools, there is a, go to this donor registration on the left, and there's this link. You also have a QR code, but when you go to that, it allows you to just manually type in information and add somebody. So if you're using Stewardship as like a CRM, this is one quick way to add people and to have people add them themselves. So I see this a lot with churches where they'll have this on their website, register. And it gives people, once they complete this, it gives them the ability to have like an online account where they can go in from the back end. So that's a cool feature that we probably don't promote enough. And again, that's under tools, donor registration, and then the link is there. So you can even create a tab on your website or promote that if you want people to register. And then once you're in a record, you can, I don't know if any of you do this, but I will show you under contact history, you can create your own notes. So you can say, called donor and talked about their children. And then you add that and it stays on their donor record. This is really helpful when you want to have certain follow-ups. So our system doesn't have a like task management thing, but what I do, I use this for my nonprofit. What I do is if I have a follow-up from this person, I add it to my calendar. So I will copy their name and say, follow up with this person on this date. It's added to my calendar and I don't lose that. And then when I'm like, inevitably 2 months later, what did I talk to them about? You can go in and see it right there. So I think that's kind of a cool feature.
Thank you, Kevin.
Laura. Can you mention the embedded donor experience? Oh, sure. Okay. Let me share my screen again. So a lot of you have a donate button on your website where there's like a button and it opens up your EGS giving page. So my EGS giving page, let's see this one, for example. It redirects you and then it opens up in a new tab, a giving page. It says secure.egsnetwork.com. But there's a way to do that where this form appears directly onto your website. So here's the nonprofit that I started. When you click on donate, directly on the page is that form. So instead of having a button where it opens up and it shows you this EGS network, people can check out with their donation right on your page. And the way you do that is when you edit this page or create a new link, you walk through the whole process. There's some support articles on this, but let's just assume you have these pages. When you click create link, there's this script here. And in your website editor, you paste that in as HTML code, and that automatically populates right onto your website. So if you're using Squarespace like I use, there's a little HTML thing, you drag it on and boom, it's right on your website. The other cool thing is that it adjusts automatically on mobile. So on mobile, it puts the form nicely stacked like that. So there's a tip for you.
Yeah, that's great. I think that improves the user experience. If you need any help, like Kevin mentioned, we do have some support articles on that and can assist you in how you go about doing that. Last question we can see out there right now is from Candy. We'll take that question and then we'll kind of wrap up here at the end. As their QuickBooks integration, I'm assuming there's two different types of QuickBooks. Of course, we got online and then the desktop. We do have a number of CSV files in our report section that can be easily imported into QuickBooks. We don't have an automated QuickBooks integration at the moment, but if you would like some help with that, we do have the ability to help with that through the support channel and direct you to the reports that work the easiest with QuickBooks. Like I said, thank you guys. This was kind of our first experience at the stewardship on the spot. Like I said, we're going to do these quarterly. So when you see an email for the next one, go ahead and submit your questions back to that email. That'll come into us and we'll compile them like we did with the PowerPoint that we showed earlier. And hopefully we can get you some insight into what others are doing and how to grow donations, donors, anything like that. Also, please look out for the kindness is key emails that we're going to send out a little bit later this week. So you can run that kindness, random act of kindness campaign. I guarantee you that will make a difference for your organization. And it's a cool way, as we talked about, expanding your social radiuses, right? That's expanding, to people that you actually have a connection to. When you're passing out these random acts of kindness cards, you're expanding your network to people that you don't know, who will tell people about your organization. So it's a great way to, once again, expand that reach of your organization in such a positive method. I mean, listen, if somebody paid for my donuts or coffee or whatever it is, then I'm telling everybody I can about that and passing on the information and telling people what a cool organization this is in the community that's doing these things. So we'll make this webinar available on demand. We'll make the resources available to you. We'll send that out shortly. And if you have any additional questions, feel free to send those in to the support@stewardshiptechnology.com channel, and we'll make sure to get some answers to you on those things. Otherwise, we hope you have a happy and blessed Tuesday. It is Tuesday today. So thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. Bye, y'all.
All right, and I also